Chattanooga, Tennessee. It's Nuganomics with David Toulis.
TV3 is telling us that a company in Virginia, HSN, a retailer, is going to be moving its facility, moving itself to Piney Flats, Tennessee, which is in the Tri-Cities area of northeast Tennessee. It has 350 people, according to TV3, who work in this operation, and will be coming to the business favorable, low income tax state of Tennessee. My name is David Toulis, and our show is Nuganomics.com. Thank you for giving me a few minutes of your time. The argument local economy makes is to you, my listener, don't let them in. Don't let them in. And what we have coming into us is not just national economy, national opinion, national concept, and you might say results of foreign wars brought here into local economy in Chattanooga and Hamilton County. But these results are against us. They're against our capital. They're against our accrual of wealth. They're not favorable to intergenerational wealth transfers, where businesses start small, involve the sons, the grandsons, the great-grandchildren, and, of course, granddaughters, and then finally become major enterprises 4 generations out. Well, the circumstance of national economy is, I suggest to you, not in favor of local economy. And when I suggest that we not let them in, that we understand that we live in a constitutional republic, we live in a union of 50 states. The United States are a great nation. No, I didn't say that incorrectly. It is true to say the United States are a great power and a great nation, and even an empire. The verb "are" suggests that the subject is a plurality. The states are, right? But today we've gotten it wrong in the grammar, and perhaps in our conceptions of our political and economic surroundings. We think that the United States is it is a great power. It is a single thing. And of course, there's much reason historically to think that the United States is a great empire, a great nation, and so on, because it acts in unity through Washington, through the federal government, and its myriad branches, all of which, if you want to think about them, form a single point, like the tip of an armor-piercing shell. Though there's much conflict, diversity, and disunion among the branches of the federal power. In the end, it would have us believe that it is a solitary, unitary, unified, penetrating point that accomplishes its will in all circumstances. Right? It always penetrates the armor, and we are the better for it. Right? On account of its superiority, its supremacy. However, it is not the United States Incorporated that is the thing that holds supremacy. It is the states. The states themselves formed the federal power, first in the form of a confederation, and which had its own first president, and that was not General Washington. It was a man whose name we don't know. We don't remember, and you have a hard time finding it. And there were a succession of presidents, I think 14 of them, before Washington was elected to be the president of the federal republic under the 1778 or 1787 Constitution out of Philadelphia, the coup in Philadelphia. Washington was unanimously nominated and was voted to be the first president. Well, the states preceded the Union, even though there is a kind of mythology that rose around the time of Lincoln, suggesting that no, the Union preceded the states. The Union is indissoluble. The Union of 50 states, the federal power, in which the states united in a single mass, that body, that entity, preceded somehow, maybe just mythically, maybe just poetically, the states themselves, which were formed out of the colonies. Well, don't let them in. If that's advice, it's something that you can take personally in your business, in your home, especially if a CPS staffer knocks at your door and demands to see your children. There's a reason to say, don't come in, and I've got some pointers for you on that. But geopolitically and politically here in Chattanooga and Hamilton County, don't let them in, I think, would be a counsel that we would act upon, and we act upon it through our representatives, through our agents. These would include Sheriff Jim Hammond and our county clerk, Bill Knowles. The clerk of the county is on the firing line today, and he will be for several days more, and sometime after that, depending on what he does. If he is a man who stands for constitutional government, for you might say for states' rights, right? For the idea that the state of Tennessee is an independent sovereignty that is protected by the supremacy clause of the Constitution, not controlled by the United States. Well, then he is going to be in much note and have much red ink written about him, and of course much black ink poured out on his behalf in the media. If he says no, don't come here, you're not coming in. And to whom would he be saying those bold words to? Or to whom would he be saying those bold words? He would be saying it to the good people, 9 of them clad in black robes in the federal high court in Washington, which has been secretly working on a book which is going to be an opinion on marriage. And there is across the country a great deal of hoopla of people bowing and scraping before the poofter lobby, the gay lobby, the lug butt crowd. Lug butt is simply my shorthand for LGBTQ. I don't try to get the queer in there. I just leave off the queer. I figure that'll fade out pretty quickly if the heat arises against them. But lug butt is LGBT. Lug butt. I don't like acronyms. I try to make a word out of it. Of course, like many other things have been turned into words like the Patriot Act, where the bill was called Uniting and Strengthening America. That's USA, and Patriot is providing appropriate tools required to intercept and obstruct terrorism Act of 2001. I try to make a word out of letters that I'm given. So LGBT, that's lug butt. The lug butts may have a case in their favor, in which case marriage is destroyed. We were supposed to understand that if the high court rules against marriage and rules for the poofter theory, which is against capital, against future, against family, and against God. Well, then, if that happens, what will Bill Knowles do? Will he be supported if he takes a bold stand by Jim Hammond, the leading figure in Hamilton County? He is the leading figure because he is the man of military purpose and is defender of the county. Jim Hammond, every sheriff is that, in fact, because he has a common law calling, a constitutional office. And he is far more important than any corporation office, which would be, for example, Mayor Burke, who's the mayor of a town corporation of Chattanooga. He has much less authority at common law and in history than the sheriff. Will Sheriff Hammond defend Mr. Knowles if Mr. Knowles says, no, you're not coming in? Okay. And what would happen if Mr. Knowles says that? Well, he would simply refuse to record or sanction or recognize or accept a Jim Joe union offered him and presented to him as a marriage under the new theory, right? The new constitutional theory, so-called, that the high court would say is now the law. Well, not only the high court would pretend that. I don't think the high court pretends that its opinions are law. It is just an opinion. But everybody else, all the people downstream, especially lawyers and all those who are informed by lawyers and who listen to lawyers for their advice, they'll all say, well, the high court has said there's a constitutional right for a gay union. Therefore, Bill, you're just going to have to give in on this one, despite your personal convictions, and so on. Well, I think that is a grievous prospect. And Bill Knowles here in Hamilton County and in counties across Tennessee, which there are about 95 counties or so, 94 other clerks face the same issue. Do I yield or do I stand? And my argument at Nuganomics.com, of which I'm the editor, is that you have reasons to say no. Not just personal reasons, such as I'm a Christian, I don't believe in gay marriage. That's a personal reason reflecting a subjective state of mind. There are legal reasons to say no. One, well, there are 3 of them in a nutshell. And one of them is the oath of office that you took to uphold the Constitution. Number 2 is the Constitution that you swear to uphold is still there. And number 3 is that the vitality of constitutional government, the vitality, the living essence, if you will, of free government, serving a free people, is made alive. Its essence is in the living out of it by all office holders who swear before God to uphold the Constitution. The Constitution lives when, in a moment of crisis, the officer stands on it and not on a pretended claim that would swerve him away from it, divert him from the purpose of the law, the supreme law of this state, this sovereign state of Tennessee. Well, remember the war to prevent Southern independence was fought against a false claim about the law, about the Constitution. Lincoln and his party, the radical Republicans who have brought us what we have today, right? We are living today in the fruit of the radical Republicans, the commercial government, the welfare, warfare state, corporate welfare. That's a Republican theory, right? That comes from republicanism. Has always been fought, well, not always, but was fought in the 19th century by Democrats, Southern Democrats, who were the party of the common people, the party of states, the party that really rejected the idea of public works by government on the federal side. Internal improvements was the theme. And the Southern states said, no, we don't believe in internal improvements sponsored by the national government at all. These are state issues, just as marriage is a state issue. It is a state issue. And because we need to understand that it is constitutionally a state issue, and we need to understand that the supremacy clause of the U.S. Constitution makes the Constitution the supreme law, that every man is bound to uphold that law, especially if he has taken an oath of office to uphold it. So the Constitution lives if Bill Knowles lives it. The Constitution dies, free government dies, if in this county, Bill Knowles, the county clerk, says, I'm going to have to yield because the high court opinion is now the law of the land. There's nothing else I can do. It's out of my hands. Those are words that a wonderful coward in the Republican ranks, Scott Walker of Michigan, or was it Wisconsin, made when he yielded to a court opinion, a federal court opinion in his state, Wisconsin. And will Bill Knowles say that? Will he say, there's nothing I can do? Well, I think that he may, but I would propose in God's grace, with God's encouragement, that he would say no, that he would fear God and uphold the Constitution, despite the opinion of the 9 black-clad jurists in Washington. Marriage is a state issue. The Tennessee government has authority to define it and regulate it, though I would say, if I could have my way, that Tennessee would get out of the marriage business entirely in the way of licensing it and requiring a license for it. And the reason is, in a nutshell, marriage is a personal right. It is a right that precedes church. It precedes state. It began with the first man and woman, Adam and Eve, and their children. They all had rights of marriage. And it is not something that is controlled by either state or church, though certainly the state has an interest in it. It would be more in the direction of recording said union rather than permitting, allowing, and licensing the same. And so I have great hesitance to say that states should regulate it and license marriage. I'd say it doesn't belong to them. It is a usurpation for states even to take that, to arrogate that to themselves. They should get away from it. As in Alabama, an effort to have the state remove itself from that authority has been in progress. I'm not sure what's happened to the bill. I think it may have been put into a committee and may have died there, but it is certainly a very favorable movement to have state government, state corporation government, get out of marriage. So don't let them in is something I think we need to consider. And I want to mention to you a quick search in downtown Chattanooga in the public shopping center on the North Shore is an office run by a very well-known local surgeon, David Redd. He specializes in I think hernia. He's a hernia specialist, and he in his walk-in practice runs a cash-only business. He doesn't take insurance, and all small, light walk-in surgeries he can do for you. Moles and skin tags, lacerations, things like that that involve the knife, he will do it for you. And the costs are minimal. For $150, $200, you can have surgery. Just walk in and have it done. You pay cash and you're done with it. And this is part of a wonderful local economy revolution, if you will. I don't like the word revolution. I use it guardedly and only with quotes. It is you might say a counter-revolution against the revolution imposed by government and the insurance corporations of our country against us, against the people, and really against the medical profession, whose members sold their souls back under President Johnson, when they all bought into the system and refused to stand apart from it. So David Redd is at Quick Search, QUIKSURG online. That's QUIKSURG.com. Call him, find out if you know a poor person near you. I've got I've got some coupons online at our half price website, which will let you, if you buy that, you can buy that for half price and give that to a poor person you might know, someone who needs some surgery, someone who has a blot or a blight, an ugly mole on her face perhaps. Maybe you can say, look, sweetheart, let me direct you to a doctor who can help you. Buy a couple of coupons. Maybe they're I'm trying to remember now what they are, but you end up paying half of it, and give that coupon to your friend, and she or he can get some surgery. Think about doing that. That's a local economy. That's exercising the blessings of social capital. For her, the social capital is above her, and for you, the person is beneath you in terms of capital. But you need to understand this: that money capital is concomitant with social capital, and we all have our responsibilities and our duties. My name is David Toulis. We are here at AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio in Hamilton County in Chattanooga. We are the Soddy Daisy station. We are a Soddy Daisy radio station, and I do thank you for giving me a few minutes of your time online. HotNewsTalkRadio.com. Our website pops up immediately and streams immediately whatever we have going on, right? Whether it's me or Sean Hannity. Sean Hannity is number 2. I'm number 4 at our station. And certainly, if you go online, make sure you hear every weekday our number 1 star, Russell the Kid, at Digital Drive at noon. And also want to mention we're members of Trade Bank of Chattanooga Trade Bank, which is the smart way to barter. There are 400 local businesses, great and small, national firms and local firms who are part of Trade Bank. And if you take part, you buy and sell in terms of Trade Bank dollars, which are on debit card. And find out more at 877-2202, 877-2202. And Jürgen Mutz is the man to talk to, the German with the southern twang. Well, what are we going to do about keeping them out? Can we keep them out? Can we keep out social workers who are wanting to demand our children? Can we say no? On what basis do we say no? CPS, Child Protective Services workers when they come to your door. In a nutshell, you want to say no. The excuses for which that person is there, with sometimes a police officer or sheriff's deputy standing in the background, it comes on speculative accusations against you. That staffer, though, takes the accusation to be an evidence, right? It is already an evidence that you're an abuser of your children, and there are several steps that you need to do, and several things to avoid, to make your case as firm as possible, and to avoid losing your children. I know you, my listener, have children. And I'm glad that you're a family man. I'm a very rich man myself. I have 4 children. My wealth is in my offspring, 1 at home still. And the accusations sometimes are ridiculous. You're beating a child with a baseball bat without leaving bruises, or you molested a child in a living room during a family party, that kind of thing. So these are sort of fruity accusations that come at you. An attorney, Chris Branson in Texas, says, when I started working, we tried to prove the family was innocent. Now we assume that they are guilty until they prove that they are not. That's I think he's quoting a social worker. And so what you have to do is you have to ask questions. Asking questions is a great local economy idea. And I think, in a way, since we care about people, we are favoring personal economics, right? A personal economy. a kind of an avatar-free life, or at least a life with the avatar in greatly reduced format, right? It's already two-dimensional. Maybe we can bring it down to 1.5 dimensions if we live out the concept of local economy. And one of the things we need to do is ask questions. Ask questions of our neighbor, not being nosy, but just asking, what are the charges? What are the charges? Now, the charges, if it's abuse or neglect, those aren't charges. Those are categories. What is exactly the accusation? It needs to be specific. Otherwise, you're not getting you're not getting something that can be dealt with. Well, this is David Tulis, and our show is Nuganomics.com. The second point is close your trap. Don't say anything. And what about letting that official into your house for an inspection of your children? What about that? Is that something we should allow? Well, this is David Tulis.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Right now, you can save half off at hotnewstalkradio.com. Go to hotnewstalkradio.com and click half off for exceptional deals on new and pre-owned unique quality items. For Hamilton County residents only. Save half off at Jet's Pizza, golf clubs, coffee, tea, a real sword, jewelry, and much more. It's half off. Go to half off at hotnewstalkradio.com right now, then click on half off to save big. Be sure to join us live Wednesday, Thursdays, and Fridays at 11 a.m. as we bring you lots of fantastic deals right here, AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. hotnewstalkradio.com and half off. Surf our site and ride the wave of savings. We've got a table here at Delia's in Soddy Daisy, ready to delight in a plate of authentic Mexican food. Delia's spreads a rich selection, loaded nachos, crazy chicken, homemade tamales, maybe the enchiladas with beef, chicken, pork, quesadillas. Every dish beautifully pictured on the menu to help us decide. Join us for lunch or dinner. We're at Delia's in Soddy Daisy on Dayton Pike near the Thrasher Light. Here's dinner. Delia's uses the freshest ingredients, cooked to perfection. Nachos, homemade. Delia's open every day except the Lord's Day. For lunch and dinner, treat yourself to Delia's genuine Mexican food. In Soddy, call 521-7145. That's 521-7145.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Are you tired of working in corporate America, or have you recently lost your job and would like to consider owning your own business? If you are, please call me, as I can help you look at franchises or business opportunities that fit you, the economy that we're in, and the type of businesses that are right in the greater Chattanooga area. After I help my clients find the right opportunity, I also help them find the best way to finance the business, including paying yourself through the startup phase. If you would like to learn more about opportunities that may be right for you, please call me for a free assessment. My name is Bruce Krebs at the Entrepreneur Source. Phone number is 423-875-5621.
Hi, this is your computer speaking. I don't feel so well. It's like I've come down with a bug, and I'm getting slower.
Affordable Computers. We fix sick computers. Your hometown guys at Affordable Computers will repair your PC in half the time of the big boys at an affordable price. No tricks, no gimmicks, no computer speak technobabble, just good, quick, and courteous affordable service and repairs. Want to affordably supercharge your PC? Affordable Computers on Highway 58. Affordable Computers hand builds all desktops in-house. If you're looking for a better than new refurb laptop, $150 will get you a Dell or another name brand at Affordable Computers. Affordable Computers, Highway 58, between Arby's and Taco Bell. Also Fort O, Battlefield Parkway near Holcomb's. Affordable Computers, we service what we sell. Call 499-1975. That's 499-1975.
Wow, this is amazing. I'm feeling great. Supercharged.
Do you feel better outside your home or business than in? Indoor air quality is important. Mildew, mold, smoke, water, and rodent damage are prime causes of poor indoor air quality. Ducts Indoor Air Professionals, better known as Duct Busters, cleans HVAC systems using 127 definable Duct Busters steps. Let Mark Thompson address the indoor air quality at your business to help reduce employee illnesses. Prevent fires by cleaning your dryer vents. Mark and his parents, Dick and Joan Thompson, have been building our local economy and helping local people with HVAC systems 16 years. Ducts Indoor Air Professionals. Call 876-9907. 876-9907. Ducks. Call now.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Fox News Radio. I'm Lilia Moo. On Capitol Hill, some lawmakers getting details on the fight against
Defense
ISIS.
Secretary Ash Carter says the U.S. air campaign against ISIS in Iraq is yielding results, but Iraqi ground forces there still need work and higher numbers.
Fox Radio's Rachel Sutherland. One setback, according to Carter.
Our training efforts in Iraq have thus far been slowed by a lack of trainees. We simply haven't received enough recruits.
Carter says only about 7,000 fighters have signed up for training, far short of the 24,000 projected by the Pentagon by this fall. Secretary Carter is still not calling for U.S. troops on the ground in Iraq.
A fifth juror dismissed from the Colorado theater shooting trial. The judge says the juror didn't reveal all the facts when she said she recognized a witness who testified in May. And AT&T hit with a $100 million fine for offering consumers unlimited data, then slowing their internet speeds when they hit a certain amount. Fox News, we report, you decide.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Live from Chattanooga, Tennessee, it's Nooganomics with David Toulis.
In the next few days, the federal high court in Washington will be issuing an opinion, a series of words that will probably run to 140 or 150 pages, and which will take that much ink out of your printer if you try to print it and digest its argument. There is a very slight chance that it will be for poofer theory, for lug butt or gay theory. And that there's because Justice Kennedy is for gays. He believes that the gay theory is a wonderful thing, is a good thing. We need to stop oppressing homosexuals and people who favor buggery and sodomy in their sexual appetites. We need to allow them to not just do what they want to do in private, as the Texas opinion of maybe 10 years ago said was possible and licit. We need to enshrine their loving commitments in marriage, and to change marriage, and by definition, to allow and kind of force the states at issue in the case before the court, which includes Tennessee. And we need to allow a definition that we impose, and say that there is a constitutional right. We're recognizing a constitutional right in the law. Now, there's been a change in the way the Constitution is read. In the new one says that rights exist when they're enumerated. This, of course, is just backwards. There are innumerable rights that are that exist that have not been enumerated, and which do not have to show up in any of the Bill of Rights. And Tennessee's abortion laws 15 years ago were overturned because of the finding of a right somehow in the Constitution. Well, rights exist apart from the Constitution, and so to say that gays have a marriage, that we have to find the right of constitutional gay unions in the Constitution is not the right way of looking at it. If you have a lawful right at common law, it exists apart from it being enumerated, and that's of course, that point is made in one of the amendments to the federal Constitution, and that's the 10th Amendment. But what's happening, though, is that the gay lobby wants the high court to coerce the state governments in a pretended opinion, an opinion that will be a pretended law, right? It'll be a law in the minds of most people. Most people, including those in public office, will think that, well, the high court's ruled it's a law and we're bound by it. And I would say that is a misunderstanding of constitutional government. And that, in fact, an opinion of the high court is just that, an opinion. It has no force. It really doesn't have force unless you give it force. And it's possible that Bill Knowles, our county clerk in Hamilton County, will yield that. He'll take the popular position that says, well, a high court opinion that says Jim Joe unions are lawful and that I must record them, that is binding upon him despite his oath of office, right? That somehow a ruling against marriage and in favor of gay theory absolves him of his oath to God to uphold the Tennessee Constitution, which contains in its one of its latest amendments a marriage provision, which says that no no law, no ruling, or no opinion anywhere will have an effect on our law here. And our Constitution says very defiantly, in fact, at that line in the amendment, that we are not bound by anybody's claim about marriage except those of the people here in the state who had a plebiscite and favored marriage by about 81%. And will Bill Knowles cave, or will Bill Knowles stand on several grounds, not just the ground of his personal Christian convictions, but on the grounds of the law? That's my question. And we are thinking about it because it's a local economy issue. It's not a national issue solely. It's not a state issue solely. It does affect local economy and the free markets. A pro-gay decision is, in many respects, it is against local economy because it's against capital. It is against the idea of futurity and family. And remember, gay theory is about consumption. It's about license, about the desire to have approval and sanction of what is a corrupt, illicit act, which is the homosexuality. Is, if it's a state of being, it's facing God's judgment. But homosexual acts are crimes. These are crimes in common law. In the colonial time, buggery was a capital offense in every colony. In no colony was it licit at all or sanctioned at all. If it was discovered, it was punishable by death. So that is true in many other cultures as well as that of the early American colonial period, and it is so in some countries today. Though the Americans are trying to change that in Africa, Americans are trying to export the gay lifestyle, the gay love style, and punishing countries with not giving them federal money if they don't change their laws. But we have a constitutional republic, and the states have authority in this matter, regardless of what the high court says about marriage. And it is a perilous and courageous thing that I'm proposing, and that is that Hamilton County, whatever jurisdictions elsewhere do, that Hamilton County says, well, we and our clerk will uphold the Constitution, and we do not expect our county clerk, Bill Knowles, to perjure himself. Now, perjury is a crime. It is either a misdemeanor crime or a felony, depending. And perjury has, in part of its description, the forbidding of declaring as a fact something that the speaker, the person making the statement, knows is not a fact. And perjury is prosecutable. It is a crime. Of course, it's also an impeachable offense. And if our statute allows for me and 9 other men to indict, by the way, there is a provision that I've written about at Nuganomics.com, allow us to indict any official that violates the Constitution. It also requires that the district attorney assist us in our prosecution of the case. A very unusual provision that's very democratic, right? You have to understand this is a pro-democratic provision in the Tennessee statute, the Tennessee Code annotated. But perjury is something that a public officer does when he records something false that he knows is false. He declares it to be true in testimony or in the record keeping that he knows is false. And because Bill Knowles is a Christian man, I believe he is a member at Woodland Park Baptist Church, he can't declare Jim Joe as married, and he can't suborn perjury of his office workers by having them record the same, because that's a separate crime, suborning perjury. So perjury is when you declare something as true and factual that you know is not true. And you can know that even though a high court may have tried to persuade you otherwise, right? You can know that Jim Joe unions are not factual and not true as a fact, even though the high court has declared possibly, theoretically, that indeed there is a constitutional right for men enjoying buggery to have the marriage blessing of the state in its record keeping and its recognition of that sexual union as a marriage. And I dare say that Christianity is in such a weak state in the South, even though we are the so-called buckle of the Bible Belt. There is such weakness in Christianity that very few people have thought about this. And I know you're my listener. I'm not one of them. You're not a practicing Christian. I understand that. But you know people who are practicing Christians. Ask one of your friends, right, who's a practicing Christian, goes to church. Ask that person, have you prayed for Bill Knowles? Has Bill Knowles, is he facing any kind of jeopardy? And it's possible that your Christian friend won't have even thought about the issue. The prospective redefinition of marriage in the next few days, the High Court promising a ruling on so-called gay marriage in June after having lively arguments for a couple hours. I believe it was in April. And the Southern Baptists had a convention recently, and the numerous leaders of the Southern Baptists are committed, they say, to biblical faith and ethics, and as a result, this body of believers stands on the authority of Scripture and God's truth as central to our lives. And it says the biblical teachings on marriage are clear, definitive, and unchanging. Quote, we affirm biblical, traditional, natural marriage as the uniting of one man and one woman in covenant commitment for a lifetime. The Scripture's teaching on marriage is not negotiable. We stake our lives upon the Word of God and the testimony of Jesus. Consequently, we will not accept, they say, nor adhere to any legal redefinition of marriage issued by any political or judicial body, including the United States Supreme Court. We will not recognize same-sex marriages in our churches. We will not host same-sex ceremonies, and we will not perform such ceremonies. While we affirm our love for all people, the Southern Baptist Convention goes on to say, including those struggling with same-sex attraction, we cannot and will not affirm the moral acceptability of homosexual behavior or any behavior that deviates from God's design for marriage. And so they encourage all Southern Baptist ministers, pastors, leaders, educators, and churches to openly reject any mandated legal definition of marriage. Well, this is true, but sadly to say, because of weaknesses within Christianity, because of a certain strain of religious thought, theological thought that had its origins in the 1740s, Christendom is very privatized, very negative, very pessimistic, and the engagement of Christians, say in the line of Mark West, the president of the local Tea Party, in the Hamilton County Tea Party, is minimal. It is not very strong. It is not very widespread. And so Mark West, as a practicing Christian, he understands the claims of God, of the Bible, on law, on culture, on family, on commerce, on the state itself, on the kingdom, right? The kingdom of any state or fiefdom. He understands that. But many who are also Christians don't see why he's so concerned, right? Because Christ is coming back any day now. We are not going to be polishing brass on a sinking ship, and we only his return. Our hope is in his return, not in the effectual work of the Holy Spirit, the third person of the Trinity, in culture, in time, reviving cultures, claiming cultures, taking nations over, in making nations look more like Jesus, right? Making nations look more like Jesus thought and looked and acted. That's the idea of the modern Baptist, even to not care. And yet Scripture itself, as Mark West attests, as he attested in Tea Party meetings and conversations, God is sovereign over all things, and he has an interest in all things and rules in all things. And so the Southern Baptist Convention is correct that there is place for defiance. There's place for non-recognition of this opinion. And this is very good. Don't let them in is the argument. Don't let them in. That's the same cry of the gaunt-looking fighters of the Confederate armies from South Carolina, North Carolina, a lot of Scots-Irish, a lot of people who were very poor and whose ancestors had been persecuted for a religion, persecuted for being Reformed, for being Presbyterian, for being Protestant, who were finally finding their way into as exiles and emigres into the colonies. And so they were the ones who fought, and they fought the South. The people who fought for the South fought for being left alone. They wanted to be left alone. One Southern soldier as a captive was questioned by a Yankee there in his blue with his pistol on his hip, and early in the war. And the Yankee said, "Why are you fighting us so hard?" And the Southern boy said, "We just don't want you down here," or something like that. We're fighting you because you're here, right? You're here, and we are fighting you. We don't want you here. We want you to go away. Bill Knowles needs to have the same spirit. And so I suggest, should county clerks, or in Alabama, probate judges who have the same office, have the same spirit. Why are you fighting us so hard? Well, that's because you were here. And getting back to Judge Kennedy, he is pro-gay, but he's also a man who favors the operation of the democratic system. And what does that mean? Well, he favors the fact that states determine for themselves where they're going to go on important issues and small issues. Certainly, the definition of marriage is a vital consequence to every person in a particular state or nation. Tennessee is a nation. And even though we have been swamped by the good people, and we've been shackled by welfare programs into which we gladly bought, right? We bought our way into slavery. Even so, we make our own definitions of marriage. And I think Chief Kennedy, though he is pro-gay, he yearns for the day when all the states will vote for gay marriage. He yearns for the day. But I would like to think that in the coming ruling, which could come today, that he will let his constitutional principles take precedence. And since he is the crucial vote in this matter, it will be his decision, effectively, the man in the middle, as it were. But I think because he wrote in the 2013 case that overturned the Defense of Marriage Act, the federal definition of marriage, he wrote very eloquently over 7 or 8 pages why that part of that law was wrong. And it was wrong because it pinched the consciences of the states. It pinched the consciences of the people of New York who had their decision. They were going to vote for gay marriage. And so Judge Kennedy wrote very movingly in the overturning of DOMA how it is that the people, the liberal-minded people of New York, favored gay marriage. Well, the unliberal-minded people of Tennessee, shall we say, voted also, and they voted against the new tide. They voted to say, no, we have our own idea. And so it is in the Constitution. It is in. They voted against the prevailing tide and said, we believe in marriage. We believe in the traditional view of things, the biblical view of things that is as ancient as the earth, right? Is a few days younger than the earth itself. When Adam and Eve were put on the planet for their loving union, their sexual union, which was until death did them part. And from their loins came many, many children. Of course, probably hundreds of children came from Eve's loins as Adam and Eve had very long lives. And so Kennedy, I believe, will allow Bill Knowles a moment of grace. He is not going to force Bill Knowles to do something against his Christian convictions. And he will uphold marriage. So I believe that Bill Knowles will not be put to the test. But if he is put to the test, then I think we should consider his options. And if you think this is a valuable question, a valuable answer, go to Nuganomics.com. Nuganomics.com is the website of which I'm the editor. And I recently published a very little booklet called Good Faith and the County Clerk. It sounds kind of boring, but it's about how Bill Knowles, in good faith, can reject a pretended opinion ordering him supposedly, to unite a man and a man in marriage. And he's acting in good faith, and he's acting out of fear of the perjury statute. He's acting in fear out of his oath to God to uphold the Constitution, and he is acting as one properly subject to, properly humiliated to, and serving of the Tennessee Constitution and its marriage provisions, which are pretty clear about what is allowed in this state as lawful marriage. And you can download that booklet. It's 8 pages, 12 pages or so, at my website, Nuganomics.com. It's called Good Faith and the County Clerk. Good Faith and the County Clerk. Something worth reading. In other words, it's supporting the Christian position, but it's giving legal arguments in favor of saying no at the county clerk level, rather than having just personal opinions. So how do we keep them out? What advice do you need to have? There are certain things we want to invite in. what we want to have local food in Hamilton County. We want to have, well, you might say we want to have the Crabtree Farm vision of life in Hamilton County, which is all personal. We want to have that. But there are some things I would suggest that we want to keep out. And we want to keep out illicit law. We want to keep out law that's fabulous, idealistic perhaps, but irrelevant and not binding authority here in Hamilton County. What about the office worker from the Child Protective Services Department who's at your door? What about that person? Can we keep that person out? Well, before I tell you exactly what to say, I want to mention Automax. Automax is a car lot in Harrison on Highway 58, just opposite Central High School, and it's run by Louis Otero and his wife Melanie, and that's it. No one else works there. It's a very small operation as far as the size of the business goes, but there are many cars available, high quality cars, and because he has a low overhead, Louis can offer you a car $2,000 to $3,000 less than any other lot that has comparable quality cars available for your viewing and your test driving. Go to Automax. It's, again, on Highway 58, Automax. His number is 643-2886, 643-2886. Call today or go by. I'd call first since sometimes he's out at an auction, right? Or he's going to a garage to get a part. Go to Automax and you'll get a great deal. Make sure you mention that you're the Hot News Talk Radio listener, that you're a fan of David Toulis. I do have you as my fan, for which I'm very grateful, and I'd like you to buy your next car from Automax. Please do think of going there. I also want to mention, since we're talking about prosperity, saving money is prosperity, and also starting your own business is prosperity. Bruce Krebs runs Entrepreneur Source, and he will get you into a franchise. You need to have a plan B. We face national disaster. I'm not talking about attack on marriage. I'm talking about the attack of reality upon a paper money economy, which is doomed and facing a major reset. Okay, it's a major reset ahead. You need to have your own little business going. Call Bruce Krebs, and he will set you up in a franchise. Bruce Krebs, Entrepreneur Source, 875-5621, 875-5621. Make sure you call him today. Get on his schedule. Because he's facing increasing demands on his time, and I would like you to get started now. Let him help you think through the issues of having your own business. Well, if the Child Protective Service people are at your door, you need to know to ask for specific charges. Don't accept, well, someone said that you abused your child, or someone said you neglected your child. That's not sufficient. You need to press them for details. What are the charges made? What are the accusations precise? Okay, have them be precise, because in their minds, the accusation, in the minds of these people, the accusation is the evidence, and certainly you're going to have things that you've done will be twisted out of recognition. And for example, a corporal punishment, an admission that you were chatting with your daughter for 20 minutes and spanked her in that time will be converted, if it goes to court, into that you spanked your daughter for 20 minutes. Okay, that's how things get twisted. So you should take from that not to make any statements, but also in holding your ground to be very polite, because the investigators considers hostility as an evidence of guilt. So what you should do, make out that you're so glad to see the Child Protective Services person there. You're so glad to see that person, but no, you can't see my child. I'm so sorry. Now you're smiling fiercely and you're saying this. No, do you have a warrant? Do you have a court order? No CPS staffer has authority in your home unless you give consent. Unless you give consent. You're going to give consent? No. Just say no. Don't let them in. And you should say something like, well, I will make no statement outside the presence of my attorney. Do you have an attorney? No, but it doesn't matter. You still say that because you want them to think that you have an attorney, and that, well, even if you don't, you can easily call one. I'll make a recommendation for you if you want me to. Just call me. When she doesn't have one, when she doesn't have a court order, say politely but firmly, tell her that she will have to stay outside until she gets one. If she claims it's an emergency, make her tell you what the emergency is. Call her bluff, according to a lawyer who has written about this question. Call her a bluff. Call her bluff. If it were a true emergency, she would not be asking. She'd be there with armed officers forcing her way in. Do not even open the door to let her look at the children. Don't let her even see your children. Right? You believe in local economy, and you believe in the family. And therefore, intrusive state actions outside of proper authority are to be they're to be hindered, right? They're to be delayed. Make these people do their homework and not just take a scandalous phone call implying some evil against you is something that gives them a lawful authority. They don't have it. There has to be a court order. And so this is David Toulis, and we're saying don't let them in. But what are we saying? What are we inviting in? Well, we're going to invite in local food and local economy. Hang on. I've got a message for you.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Are you calling me Yeller? Them's is fighting words.
Being called yellow, not a compliment. Yellow, the international symbol for caution. Yellow. You certainly wouldn't want to eat yellow snow. Yuck. We typically avoid yellow. So why would you put your hard-earned money into an outdated, expensive, slower yellow page? Or even trust their advice? Especially when your hard-earned advertising dollars could go much further, earning you greater profits, using the multifaceted resources and expertise of Chattanooga Web Services. You want real results for your advertising dollars. The local Chattanooga media experts, Chattanooga Web Services, will help your business grow, utilizing diversified media resources that's affordable to you, whether it involves the internet's World Wide Web, video, audio, or modern-day print. So don't get sucked into the yellow folks trying to upsell you into spending even more money as it ventures into a territory unfamiliar to them, the internet. Call Chattanooga Web Services, 424-3373. That's 424-3373. Or go to ChattanoogaWebServices.com, ChattanoogaWebServices.com.
Don't worry, just relax. You need a car? Come to AutoMax.
My wife and I keep the cost down. We sell a quality vehicle at a great price. Our overhead is low. I have no employees, so I can keep my costs down. In turn, the consumer gets a better price. Everything that I sell is emission ready. We really try to go the extra mile for our customer. I don't have to pay an employee commission. I don't have to pay somebody to come out here and wash my cars. You know, I do it all from buying to selling from A to Z. I don't have the overhead where I have to raise the price on my vehicle to cover costs. Here at AutoMax, you're going to guarantee that you get credit. As long as you're making those payments, you're going to build on your credit. Unlike the buy here, pay here is where they don't report to credit bureaus. We report to all three credit bureaus. The subprime lenders that we deal with, you don't have to have any credit, or you can have bad credit. You can even have a bankruptcy, a repossession.
Don't worry, just relax. You need a car? Come to AutoMax.
AutoMax, across from Central High on Highway 58 in Harrison. AutoMax, 643-2886. That's 643-2886. Go to AutoMaxChat.com. That's AutoMaxChat.com.
Hot News Talk 1240.
Surgery does not have to be financially painful. Hi, I'm Surgical Dr. David Red, and I'd like to invite you to my walk-in surgery clinic in North Shore. Quick Surge brings you immediate relief from moles, skin tags, maybe a laceration. Quick Surge. You walk in, fill out a mini form, I numb the area I'll treat, and before you know it, you're on your way home. Do I take insurance? No, because I take cash customers. I have super low and fixed prices, credit card, check, or cash. Uninsured, member of the working financially disadvantaged, choose Quick Surge. I publish prices online. No mirth, just sunshine. Hassle-free, pain-free. Love the idea of a personal relationship with a doctor? Drop in with a nasty cut from work. Quick Surge, I'll take care of you. Quick Surge in the Public Center on the North Shore. No insurance hassles with Quick Surge. The national medical system is dysfunctional, overpriced, very alienating. I'm part of the solution, and so are you. Come on home. QuickSurge.com. QuickSurg. Relief.
Here you are, working to keep your customers happy and to manage your cash flow. IRS problems are the last thing you need, but here they are, flapping about you like vultures. Get help from Eric Pelton and his team of accountants at EJ Pelton Company. Audits, letters, proposed return changes, 1099s, penalty threats. Pelton Tax Resolution Services brings peace of mind and helps you keep more of what you've earned. EJPelton.com. Offices on Brainerd Road and in Saudi Daisy, just north of the Bilo. That's EJ Pelton. Call 622-3156. Think ahead, 622-3156.
When my brother and I opened the first Jets Pizza, we believed if we made the best pizza, customers would find us. So we made fresh dough each day, used fresh toppings, and premium mozzarella cheese. 300 plus stores later, we still do.
Try Jet's famous 8-corner pizza with premium mozzarella cheese and one topping, now just $11.99 for a limited time only. Jet's Pizza.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
WSDT Sunny Daisy, Chattanooga.
CBS News. I'm Harley Carnes. There is court action in which AT&T is defending itself, and now a fight to come to challenge an FCC ruling, a new one about the very topic the lawsuit is about. CBS News correspondent Dan Raviv explains.
AT&T is being fined $100 million by the Federal Communications Commission, the FCC not waiting for the outcome of a trial. Regulators last year sued the company, alleging deceptive advertising because AT&T Mobility sells unlimited data plans for cell phones, but customers then find after they hit a certain amount of data, their phone or tablet is throttled, the industry term for choked down to a slower speed internet connection. AT&T says it'll dispute the fine, insisting customers have been told how the account works. Dan Raviv, CBS News, Washington.
Another day in the exhausting search of forests and homes in northern New York State and a wider ring around the Clinton prison for 2 escaped murderers, now more than a week and a half since they got away. State Police Captain Bob LaFountain.
There is no hard evidence that they are outside the area. That being said, I cannot rule that out.
The generals have said the war against ISIS goes poorly, and today Defense Secretary Ash Carter told the House Armed Services Committee that's partly because they can't find enough Iraqis who want to get trained so they can fight.
Our training efforts in Iraq have thus far been slowed by a lack of trainees. We simply haven't received enough recruits.
You want a great family car? Great quality car as well? Think Korea, America, and Germany.
Korean brands Hyundai and Kia are the big winners in the latest J.D. Power study of initial quality, with American and European brands also showing gains. Power Vice President Renee Stevens says this is at the expense of the major Japanese brands.
It was really the first time in 29 years that the Japanese brands were below industry average.
Consumers still complain most about technology involving connectivity and voice recognition. Jeff Gilbert, CBS News, Detroit.
Greece is being warned by Germany and others if the leftist government does not make significant moves, it could wind up out of the European Union and on its own with its huge debt and weakened economy. Analysts are saying hopes are fading for a deal to be done tomorrow. There's some breaking news coming out of the Federal Reserve. The economy is growing moderately, but there's going to be no change in interest rates, at least not right now. That from the Federal Reserve and Janet Yellen. On Wall Street, the Dow down about 16 points so far. The Nasdaq's off 2. One of the great quarterbacks of NFL history is getting stem cells, a clinical trial for an innovative stroke treatment.
Starr begins the count. Takes the snap. He's got the quarterback.
Packers legend Bart Starr is 81. He has had 2 strokes and a mild heart attack. It is hoped the stem cells can help restore his health. This is CBS News.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It's July 4th weekend live from Daytona. It's about rockets, red glare, white knuckles, and blue steel. Love taps, trading paint, and taking flags. It's friends, family, and a whole lot of faith. America, start your engines. NASCAR is back on NBC. The Coke 0400 Sunday, July 5th on NBC. Coverage begins July 4th on NBCSN.
This is John Greenhut, and if your teeth are stained from coffee, tea, or smoking, Power Swabs is the answer. In 5 minutes, you'll see 2 shades whiter teeth, and in 7 days, 6 shades. Even better, there's no messy strips or trays that you'll have to leave in your mouth for an hour. Just swab your teeth for 5 minutes, and you're done. To try Power Swabs, call 1-800-679-0969. Your bright white smile will have your friends talking about how great you look. Try it risk-free. 1-800-679-0969. That's 1-800-679-0969.
Neil Young says, hey, that's my song, at the wrong political rally.
I'm Heather Bosch.
Musician Neil Young says the Donald didn't have the permission to play Young's song at the Trump presidential kickoff. In fact, Young says he supports Democrat Bernie Sanders. Trump's a Republican. Ted Johnson is a senior editor at Variety.
When a musician kind of pushes back, it's embarrassing for the campaign.
His campaign team says Trump paid for and obtained the legal rights to use Rockin' in the Free World, but doesn't plan to play it again.
A puzzling marriage proposal in Britain. Attorney Matthew Dick convinced the London Times crossword makers to help him propose to his girlfriend, Delith Hughes. Now, the crossword opened with one across question, which said, pretty Welsh girl widely thought not to be all there. Answer, Delith. Another clue asked, will you marry me? And she said yes. Harley Carnes, CBS News.
Are you paying too much for life insurance?
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240. Live from Chattanooga, Tennessee, it's Nooganomics with David Toulis.
TV9 sent a reporter out to Cherokee County, North Carolina, Brittany Nicholson, to tell about a rising casino there that will have a 60,000 square foot game room, employ hundreds of people, 800 jobs to the region, and all the officials are excited about this. But think about what a casino does. It is a scraping of the bottom. It's just like reverse mortgage loans are scraping the economic bottom of our country, where people's capital are being drained from them, and they're being made to feel that they're rich. Counties are being made to feel prosperous. But what is happening in Cherokee County is a continuation of a giant scamming operation against the common man, tempting him to yield his assets, yield his capital, his savings for immediate gratification, either in the reverse mortgage cash flow, with which you can do anything you want, or in the gambling proceeds, which you are losing, you are not gaining. Well, this is David Toulis, and our show is Nooganomics.com. And wanted to mention Ducks, the Indoor Air Professionals. If you have air pollution in your house, mold or mildew, call Ducks, formerly known as Duck Busters, and the well-trained crew of Mark Thompson will come and clean the mysterious domain between your HVAC system and your vent. 876-9907, 876-9907. We have in the studio Sarah McIntyre, the executive director of Crabtree Farms, who's a great booster of local economy and the free market, especially in the area of food. There's an exciting event coming up. Sarah, tell my listener about what's coming up at Crabtree Farms tomorrow.
Tomorrow, David, is when we open officially our berry patch for You Pick Berries. We have extensive blueberries and blackberry bushes that are finally ready and are producing ripe berries in enough supply that we can introduce the public out to pick. It's very exciting. You can bring yourself, your family, your friends, whoever. All you need is a nice sun hat, some sunscreen, maybe a water bottle, and some fingers. Our blueberries are easily protected from birds by netting, so you get to duck under that. But our blackberries are thornless. So unlike most Southerners who are used to trying to pick those prickly brambles, our blackberries are nicely trellised and thorn-free.
So is there a minimum age of child who might not be invited to the Crabtree Farm fields? Or
absolutely not.
Anybody can come.
Anybody can come, whether you're
youngest...
a babe in belly or 704, you are welcome to come pick berries.
Well, now, for how many days is this open this week and next week? What's on the agenda for next week?
So these first 2 weeks are a little bit odd. This week we're open Thursday, Friday, and Saturday from 10 to 4 p.m. Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, 10 to 4 p.m. this week to come on out and pick berries. You can bring your own container, though we will transfer them to pints or quarts to help give a price to that. And then next week, we have a really exciting event. It's a local food event called the 100 Dinner. It's the event, unfortunately, is already sold out. So any of your listeners, hello, sorry, you can't actually get a ticket for this year, but next year you can. But that does mean that we're not picking berries on that Saturday. So next week it'll be Thursday and Friday only from 10 to 4. And then after that, we'll open it up Tuesdays through Saturdays, 10 to 4. Pick your berries until they're gone.
What's the goal of Crabtree Farms? Why are you there? What's the purpose?
goal of Crabtree Farms? Goodness gracious. On paper, our goal is to connect Chattanoogan's to our local food shed. And I would say that's really the heart of what Crabtree does, is it connects people to land and to food and to one another. I think
How's
Crabtree
that?
does a really great job of building community. When you're out there, whether you're picking berries or helping us pick foods in the field or attending one of our many workshops or dinners, you're meeting other people. You're meeting neighbors. You're meeting folks in the community who live and work here, who maybe have just moved here. And you're connecting over something that we all have in common, and that is food and the need to eat. And while you're out there with your hands moving, your mouth is free to flap. So you get to meet and talk and greet and really form the deep connections that I think are really the cornerstone of our community and one that makes Chattanooga special.
You mentioned deep connections. You're saying that my listener who's a businessman and doesn't really have time for farm foolishness can go there and he can have really an experience very different from his media-centric, his business-centric perspective if he goes with his wife or children. Or you're saying that there's something enriching not just to his business, but to his soul, perhaps.
Absolutely. I think so. You naturally wish to unplug when you're at the farm. You walk in, and though you were just on Rossville Boulevard, though you were just in a neighborhood, the entire feeling changes. It is a small spot of Eden where you walk in and you hear the birds chirping and you see the trees and you see the fields, and automatically your sense inside slows. Your stress dissolves. You start to walk slower. You begin to hold hands. You begin to think deep thoughts and want to connect with both the world around you and with the people you find yourself in that world.
The deadlines are further off. The hands on your old-fashioned clock, your old-fashioned watch seem to stop. The distant murmur of traffic is further and further away. You are perhaps in the shadow of Lookout Mountain, and it's maybe closer than you thought. You suddenly notice it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Many people look up and say, oh, that's Lookout Mountain. Oh, what is that I'm hearing? Those are our chorus frogs. Those are our spring peepers.
Well, my listener does the shopping, Sarah McIntyre of Crabtree Farms sometimes, and he often gets the wrong thing, and he's frustrated by it. And he knows his wife is trying to save money, and she's a couponer, so he has the sense of financial stress. Is shopping purely in terms of dollars a good idea? Is there some way that my listener and his wife can break out of the idea of simply buying what's cheapest?
I think so. I think, though, economics needs to be aware of.
You mean thrift?
Yeah, you need to think about your home budget, and you need to work within that home budget. But within a home budget, I think if you are spending money, there are ways that you can spend those monies that give you a community, that give you connection, that support those around you, that spread your network of those supporting you. When you come to the farmer's market, when you come to Crabtree Farms and you pick berries, you're probably picking them for cheaper than you can get them at the store because you pick them yourself. So you're directly choosing your food in that instance. But what you're getting more is you're getting that connection. You're getting a sense of place. And it's hard to choose wrong. If you pick local food, you can't pick wrong food.
And you made a good point about you're picking them yourself and you're saving money, and you're realizing that there's a certain inefficiency that you're willingly and even gladly accepting. The world is not all about efficiency and scale, is it?
No, not at all. When you are engaging in kind of the normal big box food economy, what you are doing in effect is you're increasing your food shed, for example. So your food shed is anything that is involved in getting food from where it was originally grown to you. So my food shed, if I buy an apple from a big box store, might include New Zealand. If I am bringing tomatoes, it might include Mexico. If I'm getting olives, it might include Italy. So my food shed then is global. If I concentrate on local foods, I decrease my food shed. What I'm doing with a global food shed is, in addition to increasing the amount of space that I need to get my food, I'm increasing the number of people whose hands need to touch it. I'm increasing the amount of gas and other fossil fuels that needs to transport it. And I'm increasing the risk on food safety because it's touching so many people's hands. It's in so many different distribution centers and trucks and environments that are unknown to me. If I shrink my food shed, if I come to Crabtree Farms, if I come to the farmer's market and I talk to the people there who are selling me that food, most often their hands were the ones that touched my food. Most often that truck parked behind the table was the only truck that food has ever been in. I now know if, heaven forbid, something should happen to me or because of that food, I now know who to turn to. It's no longer a mystery. It's not something big. It's not governmental. It's not scary. It's a relationship. By shopping locally, you are encouraging conversation. You are actively sharing your preferences with the people who are growing food for you, and you're increasing your food security and your food safety.
I'm sure the apple grower in New Zealand has benign intentions only, and you are buying his apple at a major food hub here in Chattanooga. What sense of duty and obligation do you think that man might have for you, even in theory? Would he have any sense at all, or just is it
I
just
think if
business?
that person is an honest, true, passionate person, and I'm going to assume that they are, then yes, they have some good intention for their consumer, but their consumer is this kind of shapeless, amorphous person. It is what market research has told them their consumer is. It's a demographic. It's not an individual. When I pick food, I pick for individuals. I pick for taste.
The consumer is a barcode, maybe.
Yeah, the consumer is a barcode, or it's a zip code, or it's a country. Maybe New Zealand picks certain apples for Americans because Americans have demonstrated a great kinship with Braeburn apples, but they grow some other variety for those people in Europe who maybe aren't as big a fan of Braeburns, like something a little more tart and crisp. I don't know, I'm making this up. But yes, in that instance, it could be a barcode or it could be a country. It's not an individual.
So the local farmer, if my listener buys from him, cares and will come to care for him. He'll get to know what will a local farmer get to know about my listener if they have several dealings on farmers market day.
I get to know their families. I get to know their shopping habits and likes and dislikes. I will get to know what they're looking forward to. I get to know how they cook and what their maybe food and dietary restrictions are. I get to talk with that person about what they do in their kitchen, or how to introduce a food to their kids, or how to prepare and serve or preserve a food that's in great abundance at this moment in time. And when a food is in great abundance, like squashes, for example, in the summer, that's something that you can get really cheaply and in great quantities. How do I then keep that to use it over the course of the year? I get to talk with that person and I get to figure out, are you scared of jamming and gelling? Are you worried about canning? Is this something you're willing to do? I really get to know that person as an individual.
What else does the farmer get to know about my listener?
Your farmer gets to know their shopping habits. Their farmer gets to know their smile and their laugh. The farmer gets to know what time they come from work and whether work is kind of hassy and harried.
And maybe what the work is.
Yeah, and maybe what the work is. Absolutely. We talk about anything and everything. We just want to get to know you because we care about you.
And so in that, because there's a relationship, there is an implicit care. Even if the farmer doesn't know your name, he knows your face finally after 2 or 3 visits.
Mm-hmm.
And he sees you on one visit. You come with your elder son, whom you've picked up from the gym. Another visit, you're there with your daughter, who's just getting out of kindergarten. So he has some sense of your person. And so it seems to me that there would be kind of a built into that sale is the relationship, and it's going to be harder for that man to do anything that violates that sense of trust, whether it's spraying Roundup along the edges of the field or other. Talk about how the farmer views my listener if he comes to the farmer's market, let's say, or to Crabtree Farm.
Well, I'm very grateful to your listener for coming to the farm and for coming to the farmer's market, and I feel a kinship with them because we have now taken time out of our busy days and busy schedules to meet in this space solely to talk about and to deal with food. That is a great gift that you have given me by arriving at my stall. And I'm hoping to give you a gift in return by seeing you, by meeting you, by listening to you and hearing your concerns and helping you to make the choices that are best for you and your family.
Well, my listener shares a mistake, Sarah McIntyre of Crabtree Farms, that I make often, and that is that I'm shopping And of course, if I'm shopping in a big store, I'm always in a rush.
Mhm.
And what I think what you're proposing at Crabtree Farms and in the whole farmers market milieu in the Chattanooga area is trading. What's the difference between shopping and trading?
Haha, it's a great question. Shopping is all about money. It's all about dollars and cents. When I'm shopping at a grocery store just to shop purely out of business, I'm looking at that little tag underneath that says how many cents per ounce, how many cents per pound. I don't really care about the label or the product or anything. I just know that I need X and I'm going to get it cheaply. When I'm coming to the farmer's market, I am trading. I'm trading smiles and warmth and, yes, my hard-earned cash for product that was grown with heart and love for me. Oftentimes, even if I don't have that cash, the farmer will still give me what it is that I've asked for and then allow me to go back to the car or allow me to come back next week and trade that. We even at the farm, at Crabtree Farm specifically, have something called Workshare, where you can come and you barter, you trade with your labor, with your care, with your hands and the sweat of your brow for food. We also do that with volunteers, folks who come out and volunteer at the farm, be it for an hour once and that's it, or 3 hours periodically, 2 to 3 times a month for months and months and months. Some people have been volunteering with us for years. They come out. Every time you come out, I award and gift the gift that you've given me of your service and your labor with the food that we're growing on the farm. So we keep seconds and food, and that's a real trade.
My listener's wife has suggested that maybe there'd be a little plot for the children of the family. What is the benefit to children for or in growing some fruit-bearing or vegetable-bearing plants?
I think there are a lot of benefits to children and gardens. One of the obvious benefits is that you're getting kids outside. And when you're getting kids outside, they're deepening their connection with their space and their place and your yard and nature. They are moving their bodies. This is something that kids don't always do these days. They sit in one or two attitudes, and they don't necessarily move and twist their bodies. They don't stand up and crouch down and bend over and squat. So by having a garden, you're increasing the nutrition and health of your allowing them to dig their fingers in and experience a sense of wonder. When you put dirt into a container and you put a seed inside and you water it and 2 weeks later something comes up, that is a wonderful, beautiful thing. And to watch that and to nurture that and to see it grow and change gives your child a small, tiny glimmer of a sense of what it is to be that child's parent, what it is to see something grow and to unfold beautifully in front of you.
Well, what if the vegetable that the child has been given to grow is not one of his favorites?
Usually, if that child is given to grow that vegetable, they want to try it. They will eat it. If it's something that they've pulled out of the ground and dusted the dirt off themselves, they will put it in their mouths and they'll enjoy it and appreciate it a lot more than if they got it at the store.
Well, we're talking with Sarah McIntyre of Crabtree Farms. What's starting tomorrow at the farm, Sarah?
We are berry picking. It is You Pick Berries at Crabtree Farms, 10 to 4, Thursday, Friday, Saturday this week, Thursday, Friday next week. And then following that in July, we start with 10 to 4, Tuesdays through Saturdays. Bring your own berries, sun hats, water sunscreen, and we are happy to let you into our berry fields.
So food does not come from stores, you're telling me?
It does not come from stores. Food comes from people and the earth. And it is best to go there to find it.
And the reason we don't understand that is that I think because we have a kind of cultural detachment. Our modern lives are detached from things that are ordinary and lost from, you might say, the trading economy. Yeah. We don't understand, we understand intellectually perhaps where food comes from, but somehow we don't quite believe it because it's so conveniently available in rows and rows in nicely colored packages. What about that, Sarah McIntyre? Is highly packaged food in the middle aisles the best, or where do you find the best food if you go to the big box store?
The best food is always in the edges or in the front. It's always the whole foods. So the fruits and vegetables, things you can actually see as food. Those middle aisles, definitely not. Those are the highly processed, highly salted, highly preserved foods. You want to stick to the big open aisles with lots of open bins of potatoes and tomatoes and squashes.
Things for which you have to use a knife.
Yeah,
to cut.
Absolutely. Sometimes just your teeth. Teeth are an excellent knife.
Well, this is David Toulis. Our show is Nooganomics.com. We believe that if we love your neighbor, you'll buy local. And we disagree. We are dissenting from the common argument today, and that is that far is better than near, that big is better than small, and that complex is better than simple. And also in the footnotes, the enemy, should I say, the good people, love footnotes too. And they claim down there in the small type that corporate is better than personal, and that abstract is better than physical. And yet here at Nuganomics.com, of which I'm the editor, David Toulis, we dissent. We heartily dissent. What do you think about those arguments, Sarah?
I think they're beautiful. I think near is definitely better than far for many of the reasons that we talked about. You know it, it's seen. It also benefits you and your community directly. I think that small is better than big because of the relationships that you can build when you're in a small space dealing with known quantities and individuals. I think that simple is better than complex, just because there's fewer moving parts. Our farm is simple. The global food economy is complex. Distribution centers and moving food and taxes and imports and exports, that's a complex thing with taxes and tariffs. And we don't necessarily want to understand that. We can't necessarily understand that easily. We don't have time to. Simple is better. I also think that personal is better than corporate because we're a personal farm. We are families. We are humans. I know the stories of all the people that I work with. Those are personal. They are not corporate. It hasn't been crafted for your enjoyment. It hasn't been crafted specifically to sell you a product. It's simply us growing food for you.
You go to Crabtree Farms and you have an experience, and you leave behind the wars, the cranes, the trucks, the traffic signals, the gates that these vehicles go through, the drivers who are tired at the wheel. They're taking the produce down a long highway heading towards St. Louis, and then there's a depot where the truck changes trailers, and you get another driver, and he's a man also half asleep, but he's going to get you the best cantaloupe in the world, right?
Well, he thinks he is.
Sarah McIntyre of Crabtree Farms, thank you for joining my listener and me here at Nuganomics.com.
Thank you, David, and thank you, listener.
Sarah McIntyre is the executive director of Crabtree Farms. Sarah, what's your number if someone wants to call you?
Crabtree Farms is crabtreefarms.org on the website, or 423-493-9155. That's 423-493-9155.
David Toulis here. I've got something I want you to hear. Hang on.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Right now, you can save half off at hotnewstalkradio.com. Go to hotnewstalkradio.com and click half off for exceptional deals on new and pre-owned unique quality items. For Hamilton County residents only. Save half off at Jet's Pizza, golf clubs, coffee, tea, a real sword, jewelry, and much more. It's half off. Go to half off at hotnewstalkradio.com right now, then click on half off to save big. Be sure to join us live Wednesday, Thursdays, and Fridays at 11 a.m. as we bring you lots of fantastic deals right here, AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. hotnewstalkradio.com and half off. Surf our site and ride the wave of savings. We've got a table here at Delia's in Soddy Daisy, ready to delight in a plate of authentic Mexican food. Delia's spreads a rich selection: loaded nachos, crazy chicken, homemade tamales, maybe the enchiladas with beef, chicken, pork, quesadillas. Every dish beautifully pictured on the menu to help us decide. Join us for lunch or dinner. We're at Delia's in Soddy Daisy on Dayton Pike near the Thrasher Light. Here's dinner. Delia's uses the freshest ingredients, cooked to perfection. Nachos, homemade. Delia's open every day except the Lord's Day. For lunch and dinner, treat yourself to Delia's genuine Mexican food. In Soddy, call 521-7145. That's 521-7145.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Are you tired of working in corporate America, or have you recently lost your job and would like to consider owning your own business? If you are, please call me, as I can help you look at franchises or business opportunities that fit you, the economy that we're in, and the type of businesses that are right in the greater Chattanooga area. After I help my clients find the right opportunity, I also help them find the best way to finance the business, including paying yourself through the startup phase. If you would like to learn more about opportunities that may be right for you, please call me for a free assessment. My name is Bruce Krebs at the Entrepreneur Source. Phone number is 423-875-5621.
Hi, this is your computer speaking. I don't feel so well. It's like I've come down with a bug, and I'm getting slower.
Affordable Computers. We fix sick computers. Your hometown guys at Affordable Computers will repair your PC in half the time of the big boys at an affordable price. No tricks, no gimmicks, no computer speak technobabble, just good, quick, and courteous affordable service and repairs. Want to affordably supercharge your PC? Affordable Computers on Highway 58. Affordable Computers hand builds all desktops in-house. If you're looking for a better than new refurb laptop, $150 will get you a Dell or another name brand at Affordable Computers. Affordable Computers, Highway 58 between Arby's and Taco Bell. Also Fort O, Battlefield Parkway near Holcomb's. Affordable Computers, we service what we sell. Call 499-1975. That's 499-1975.
Wow, this is amazing. I'm feeling great. Supercharged.
Do you feel better outside your home or business than in? Indoor air quality is important. Mildew, mold, smoke, water, and rodent damage are prime causes of poor indoor air quality. Ducts, Indoor Air Professionals, better known as Duct Busters, cleans HVAC systems using 127 definable Duct Busters steps. Let Mark Thompson address the indoor air quality at your business to help reduce employee illnesses. Prevent fires by cleaning your dryer vents. Mark and his parents, Dick and Joan Thompson, have been building our local economy and helping local people with HVAC systems 16 years. Ducts, Indoor Air Professionals. Call 876-9907. 876-9907. Ducks. Call now.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Fox News Radio. I'm Lillian Wu. A dozen days into the search for two escaped killers from a New York prison, the focus shifting.
Our intention is to look at the viable high-speed avenues of egress from Dannemora prison facility into points on all cardinal directions. We're not ruling anything out. We're not taking anything for granted.
Major Charles Guest, New York State Police, the DA, has confirmed between the prisoners and the woman accused of helping them, there was a plot to help kill her husband. Waterlogged parts of Texas bracing for flooding.
The rain has been the real threat and the real worry. Up to 12 inches of rain in some areas, and sometimes it comes down so heavy it's an inch every 15 minutes.
Fox's Steve Harrigan in Sealy, Texas. And Fed policymakers wrapping up a two-day meeting shortly with many economists expecting a signal that they'll be ready to raise interest rates soon. Fox News, we report, you decide.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Live from Chattanooga, Tennessee, it's Nooganomics with David Toulis.
TV9 sent reporter Brittany Nicholson to North Carolina, a long way off, about 90 minutes from here, and to have a story about an opening 3 months from now of a casino that will provide 800 jobs to the region, according to the general manager. And this is called Harrah's Cherokee Valley River Casino in Cherokee County. What's remarkable about this is the idea that we think that if we have a casino, that we are bringing in prosperity. And yet what we're attacking here is not the fact that we have a casino coming to Chattanooga or Hamilton County. That's not in view. We have the state. The state has a monopoly on the vice of gambling, with which it hopes to fund a increasingly unpopular public school system. But the idea that I want to get at is that the gambling, the casinos are a kind of bottom scraping, a sucking out of capital from a people. And while people may be employed in running the vacuum cleaner to suck the money out of unwary, foolish people who have high hopes of a killing, there is a view that jobs matter, right? We want jobs. If we have a casino coming, especially one with a 60,000 square foot game room, that we are better off. And yet there's a moral dimension. You might say there's a moral hazard, which is something that is an economic term, moral hazard. But there's also a moral hazard in the sense that it is a picture of, you might say, of a kind of bottom period, of an ending Well, if I an economically desperate situation where people are hopeless, they're hopeless, and therefore they turn to these substitutes for wealth, and that would be the big payout, right? Winning at the gambling table. There's a quote from Lumpy Lambert, who is the general manager at Harrah's Cherokee Valley River Casino, which is under construction, and let's see. He said, we're going to bring about 800 jobs to this region. That's a win-win for the tribe, an Indian tribe, and county. We will bring a $32 to $39 million payroll to the area, and that's exciting. Well, jobs are not where the wealth is. The wealth is in job creation, which is what? Well, that's business. When you create a business and eventually get large enough to have to hire people, that's where wealth is. And wealth is in the rolling into your county of the profit, right? The profit staying in the county. Do you believe that the profits here are going to be used in the county? Well, it will be used by the owners, the tribe, as finally they have the red man has his vengeance on the white man and on the black man. The Cherokee County Economic Development Director, Josh Carpenter, says NCDOT, which is North Carolina Department of Transportation, is building a $10 million road project and will add more acreage in front of the casino. There's a huge push from state and local entities that will help. Even the community college system has been preparing workforce to take those jobs. Everybody is concentrating on bringing in this gigantic vacuum cleaner into a local county. Carpenter goes on to say, we're looking at an additional 10 to 15,000 cars a day, 4 million visitors a year. It will be a huge opportunity for development here. Well, this is I dare say, I'd like to suspect a false dream, a dream of people who don't realize that there's not a giant capital base out in American culture, but there's actually very, very little. There's very little money to wring from the American economy. There's really very little cash. Now, corporations have huge amounts of cash, and in fact have been spending billions and billions of it to buy back their own stock, to make the stock price continue to look solid on the exchanges. But liquidity in the American economy is largely gone, largely disappeared. And I was making note of Dan Nosley, who represents the Sandler training outfit here in Chattanooga, and he had drawn my attention to an article by Dave Matson, 8 Red Flags to Avoid When Hiring. And there's something that I want to connect these two stories here. There's something in the idea of hiring, making mistakes when you're applying for work, mistakes that you make that are that tell the employer that you're not a local economy person, and that you shouldn't really perhaps be hired. And let me tell you some of the things that he says in this essay that might be useful points for you, my listener, if you're looking for work, but which are suggestive of a larger point. For example, if you show up unprepared for an interview, he says that you're really saying that you want just a job, any job, and that you're not really prepared to discuss the job and how the job would add value to the company as a whole. And asking the candidate about basic information that can be found on the company website will quickly reveal that the person if the person has done even the basic research. So if you're looking for work, you have to find out about the person to whom you're applying, right? In other words, don't apply to so many places that you have no idea to whom you are applying. So not being prepared for a job interview suggests that you have a personal interest and you want to help that company. You don't just want a job. In other words, you don't want just to receive something. You want to give something, namely yourself, and you want to give it to this party that has this particular set of problems, as far as you can determine, right? You don't know the details about the job specifically that you're applying for, but you understand what the overall problems of the company are, where it fits in the market. You've maybe read some AP stories or checked the Wall Street Journal to find out about that business, if it's publicly traded, and have some sense of its place in the industry. So you come with knowledge. That, again, that's a relational way of applying for work. It's not just that you're wanting a handout of a job, you're wanting to help someone. A job applicant should be there with the goal of helping you, the man who needs help. Another point in this essay by Dave Matson that Dan Nosley pointed out to me is that poor body language, if you're slumping in your chair, fidgeting, mumbling through the interview, the employer will not look favorably at you. He wants strong self-confidence and upbeat attitude. And also another point that the job applicant needs to consider, again, one that suggests if you're local economy oriented or not. If the applicant says bad things and evil things about a former employer, it suggests pent up animosity, and a job interview is certainly not a place in which to air these grievances. A great candidate takes the high road and avoids trash talking in an interview. Instead, they highlight their solutions to problems that arose in the workplace. And you can paint things favorably. You don't have to talk anybody down, but you can talk about how you on your former job, which you left with some dissatisfaction, how there were problems and how you worked to solve them. And so talking down your former employer, he calls a major red flag. And then finally, here's another local economy tip for looking for employment. You don't have your own business. You don't have an idea for business. And so you want to help someone else in his business. That's why you are applying for work. Ending the interview without questions is another red flag. Do you have any questions for me? If you ask this question and the only response you get is a blank look, you should probably reconsider offering the position. This writer says, even if the candidate did not come in with a list of prepared questions, or if you answered most during the interview, they should have picked up something during your interaction. In other words, something about which to ask a question. There needs the more you know, the more inquiries you should be able to make. And Dave Mattson, in his 8 flags to avoid when hiring, points these out. Well, a local economy, that's a local economy job interview when the applicant knows about the business and has something to say and even has criticism. My partner here at the radio station was hired once when he entered on a job interview, kind of on a lark, for general manager, and he had a decimating review of that radio station, and he was hired to fix it. And he came in knowing exactly what all the problems were, who the slackers were, who should be fired on the radio staff, who deserved to be let go, and what programming errors there were. And his decimating analysis got him the job. So you see what happened. That's kind of the high end of what I'm proposing in having a kind of local economy argument for being hired by an employer. But we are facing an economy which has been drained in a way that couldn't support gambling. Of course, in Tennessee, gambling is a state cartel, a state monopoly, and the state is predator. The state is predator in Tennessee, though in other parts of its law and its organization, it intends to be a benefactor. It purports to be a benefactor, such as in its operation of the public school cartel. But here in gambling, it is a skimming operation, an operation which takes the value off for itself. And according to an essay that came out today, I was waiting for it, by Charles U. Smith, the real unemployment rate in the United States is far above the official 5.6% rate. And that rate is so low because people who do not look for work are not counted. He says that he's done a lengthy analysis at his website, which is of2minds.com. It's a blog, a web blog, right? And of2minds.com is a contrarian analysis that is full of skepticism of national economy. By Smith's reckoning, the fully employed rate is 60%, and the marginally employed or unemployed rate is 40%. Now, who is marginally employed? That would be people who pull in less than $15,000. He says if we accept the Bureau of Labor Statistics, 121 million full-time jobs. Let's see, we still get a marginally employed or unemployed rate of 25%. So if you take the government's, the federal government's own definitions, you get an unemployed or marginally employed rate of 25%. He says his numbers align much better, and again, it's 60% are employed, fully employed, and 40% are unemployed or marginally employed. Now, marginally employed are people who earn a few thousand here and there, who are on welfare, and that is the American economy that we are that we're supposed to think is prospering. We're supposed to think that the American economy is prospering, and yet because we have a national economy, one that is highly financialized, highly abstractified, we are facing an extreme economic condition brought on partly by 30 years of suppression of the rate of interest. The interest rate is being suppressed artificially by Grandma Yellen and her predecessors, Alan Greenspan and Ben Bernanke, who brought about the collapse of 2008 and whose ideas still control the ideas that brought about the meltdown in 2008 with this devastation in the housing bubble, the housing market bubble. Those ideas control today, and in fact, they have been amplified by reforms and improvements. Right, the ersatz phony reforms out of Washington have done nothing, are doing nothing to prevent even greater devastation that has not the fault in the marketplace. Right, the devastation ahead is not because the marketplace has done something wrong, but because we have interventionism in the world of money, the artificial creation of value. We have paper money. We have all kinds of. We have banks that have ballooned in their assets by billions of dollars, hundreds of times bigger than they were back in 2002 and 3, and according to David Stockman. And we face many problems. And just by the way, if you are running a small business and starting a small business and need financial advice or consulting, contact Eric Pelton. Eric Pelton is an accountant. He is a CPA and has been running his own business and helping other business people with their numbers for 37 years. He's the numbers guy in Chattanooga. He does accounting and tax returns for all those liable for same. And online, ejpelton.com, ejpelton.com, and call Eric at 622-3156. Tell him that you're my listener. I would appreciate that. 622-3156. And if we're talking about a slowing down economy, and it can only be excited so much by the giant punch bowl there, as the people are swinging from the chandeliers with all the free money flowing around in the economy, and it's slowing down. If your computer is slowing down in the same way that the national economy promises to, you need to go to Affordable Computers. Affordable has a branch on Highway 58 between the Arby's and the Taco Bell on Highway 58, and there's another outlet in Fort Oglethorpe on Battlefield Parkway near the Holcombs. And Affordable is a local business. If you have a computer repaired there, it does not go to a faraway state for analysis and repair. It's done right here in local economy. The number is 499-1975. That's 499-1975. And also, new computers are all built in house. They're all custom made. Anything past $600, Charlie tells me, is very competitively priced at Affordable. And refurbished laptops are also available, such as Dell. I have one from Affordable, a good deal for me. Well, my name is David Toulis, and our show is Nuganomics.com. We're concerned about national economy and the whole idea of the regulated state where there is no connection with the earth, there is no connection with time, there is little connection with real value, and we have circulating in the veins of the economy in Chattanooga and Hamilton County an artificial substance, a kind of a glucose that does not convey health. In fact, it is constantly destroying cells and destroying the skeleton, you might say, of the American economy, and that is it's the green rectangle. Right, we don't have constitutional coin and currency, and there's if you're feeling a kind of cognitive dissonance, Charles Hugh Smith says that's because you're hearing about how good the economy is going. You're reading AP, you're reading the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal, and we are in much worse condition than the official numbers suggest. And that's why we argue here at Nuganomics.com and at my radio station, Hot News Talk Radio, to divest national and invest local. That takes many forms. And what's happening is, if you do that, if you sell in national economy and buy in local economy, what you're doing is you're reassigning where you have your faith. Now, as a Christian, I would say your faith should be in God. And but if your faith is in God, then things attend with that. Things fall into place in pursuit of that standard, right? If you have faith in God, you have less faith in man, right? You have less faith in the great ones of our time, who are there to make us prosper, and yet who are really like cancer, eating us out from the inside. Though we look healthy enough, our eyes are bright, and we are smiling, and we are glad to be here. My wife and I are, my wife Jeanette's a wonderful woman. We've been married for 20-some years, and we have a story of our love affair, if you will, of our meeting in a book. The book is called Quest for Life, and it's a book written by or published by Elisabeth Elliot. Elisabeth Elliot is a very famous writer whom many people, especially women in America, know. She died on June the 15th, on Monday, and she has in a series of quotes about from her Christian perspective. She has a couple of things I think that are really valuable that give me pause, if you will. Since I'm a fallen man, I tend to believe the national economy theory as well. I have high hopes in national economy. I have high hopes in Donald Trump, in Jeb Bush. I'm just like everybody. I think that they can save us. I think that the American dream is dead, as Trump says. Well, maybe Donald Trump can save us. I want to think that. I really want to think that that's true. That maybe even a Democrat, maybe Hillary Clinton, maybe she's just being abused, and maybe she really can solve all of our problems. Well, Elisabeth Elliot was not of that persuasion. She fully believed that God is in charge, and in her writing, she comforts women, especially women who have not found husbands, or women who have been cast aside for newer models by their husband. And my wife Jeanette knew Elisabeth Elliot some, and helped her run her book table when she was here, and had a nice correspondence with this writer. And somehow Elisabeth Elliot got into her book Quest for Life the story of my having met my wife Jeanette. I don't think we're named in that book, or we're given a separate name, but there's our story, how I met this lovely young former missionary at Covenant College at a conference that she was attending. She was very hard to get. Jeanette was very hard to get. I had to ask her before we parted in our first meeting for her phone number about 4 times before she gave it to me. And then she gave it to me through the nearly closed window of her car as she was leaving my family's house. Finally, she yielded it to me, and I was able to pursue her with in my mind the thought of marriage. I had, within 5 minutes of meeting Jeanette there in the Covenant College library, she'd been writing letters. I thought, this is the young woman I want to marry. It was one of those things. Elisabeth Elliot says, among several points that are helpful, I know you're not a Christian, my listener, but the Christian perspective has much to offer. And here's what Elisabeth, she says, today is mine, tomorrow is none of my business. Now, she's not saying don't worry. She's not saying don't work toward tomorrow, but she's saying don't worry about tomorrow. She says, if I peer anxiously into the fog of the future, I will strain my spiritual eyes so that I will not see clearly what is required of me now. And she says separately, one reason we are so harried and hurried is that we make yesterday and tomorrow our business, when all that legitimately concerns us is today. If we really have too much to do, there are some items on the agenda which God did not put there. Let us submit the list to Him and ask Him to indicate which items we must delete. There is always time to do the will of God. If we are too busy to do that, we are too busy. Of course, this might sound a little strange to you, but this is something Christians do. They give their troubles to God, and they give their worries to God. But here's something that touches you directly without perhaps the film of Christianity, if you will, the light of Christianity. Elisabeth Elliot says, work is a blessing. God has so arranged the world that work is necessary, and He gives us hands and strength to do it. The enjoyment of leisure would be nothing if we had only leisure. It is the joy of work well done that enables us to enjoy rest, just as it is the experiences of hunger and thirst that make food and drink such pleasures. And when I hear Elisabeth Elliot say that, I think of Sarah McIntyre at Crabtree Farms, and the very delightful way in which she understands local food and understands the power of time. And the idea that she expresses that if you go to Crabtree Farms, which is a Chattanooga gem, Crabtree Farms is a Chattanooga gem. It is a living, breathing, odoriferous argument for local food and local economy. And just by the way, there's a You Pick Blackberry event that starts tomorrow. Wanted to mention that Thursday through Saturday, 10 to 4 p.m. It's $4.50 for a quart. So take some time off. Do something a little different. You, my listener, right? Do something different. Take a step toward local economy. Go out of the routines. Go out of the harried and hurried life. And think that if you have a harried and hurried life, that the leisure that you claim for yourself, taking your 2 children there to Crabtree Farms to pick berries tomorrow, you're taking a step, right? You're doing something out of the ordinary. And I think that that's maybe what you need to do. You, my listener, you've contemplated the ideas of local economy for a day or two now with me here at Nuganomics.com. David Toulis. Well, do something. Do something. Take a step out from the routines. Say, David Toulis, he may be right. He may be right about local economy, but I'm going to see if he's right. I'm going to experience whether or not he's right. And I'm going to go to Crabtree Farms tomorrow. Might go Friday, might go Saturday, and pick blackberries with my children. And I'll take my sweetheart along too. She's going to come too. We'll have a couple hours there, drink some water under the shade of the tree, and appreciate what we have. We appreciate what we have. Well, that is our argument, and I do thank you for joining us. Make sure you go to Advantage Printing for any of your printing needs. Advantage Printing, Alan Jones there on Brainerd Road does a great job for you, does a great job for me. The show is Nuganomics.com. The website, of which I'm the editor, is Nuganomics.com. That's Nuganomics.com, and you are here at AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240. Are you calling?